Hello and welcome to Who's Your Caddy, a weekly PGA DFS podcast where every week we share a little bit about the tournament, the course, and our favorite picks to build your cores around. And this week we're focusing on the US Open. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, we hope you pick up a few little nuggets to help you win big this week. My amazing co-host, Adam Hallas, isn't able to join me this week, so you just get me. But he did leave us his course notes and 3 of his core picks, so I'll be sure to share those with you. I'm wearing my free Scottie t-shirt, courtesy of Brad. Oh my gosh, I just totally went blank right now, and I'm gonna need to look that up because it's gonna bother me. I need to give you his Twitter handle at Mr. Brad Thomas. He created these amazing shirts as soon as Scottie had been arrested and released. We all know the story, but I found it to be hilarious and snatched one up right away. And today's the first day that I remembered to wear it. So you're welcome. So let's talk about Pinehurst. Pinehurst is located in North Carolina. This tournament has not been played here since 2014. So it's going to be hard for us to rely on course history. But here's a little bit about the course. It's a par 70, 7,543 yards long. The green types, Adam has in his notes, Champion Ultra Dwarf Bermuda Grass, which is super fast. And the greens are going to have tough putting. If you've been following any of the coverage leading up to the tournament this week, the players are there practicing. There's plenty on social media showing that the greens could actually end up being lost before the tournament even starts, for sure by the tournament ends, which means they're just not in stellar shape. The ball will be rolling and it will be rolling fast. So we need to think about that. It's going to create for some tough putting conditions. The fairway width is 35 to 45 yards in the landing areas. There are 117 bunkers. And if you didn't know, that's a lot. That's a lot of bunkers. There's only one hole with water in play. All right. The average green size is 6,500 square feet. I actually have no clue in relationship to if that's large or small, but I'm assuming it's a decent size because Adam does not necessarily have anything about putting in his notes today, but he does look at greens and regulation. He's not expecting a birdie fest, nor am I, especially when we're hearing about some of the conditions of the course already. So Adam is looking at greens and regulation, approach, tee to green, and he is also looking at, oh my gosh, driving accuracy. I texted him about this one, and ball striking in general. So I'm also looking at approach. I think that's going to be very important. I'm putting in putting into my model this week because with the greens and the shape that they're in already, I'm going to want some accuracy going on in there. So I'm throwing putting into the mix in general, some strokes gained. So, and even looking at players who are have a tendency to birdie because we're going to want to make these putts. Let's dive in. My first player I'd like to talk about today is Jason Day. Just 7.4K on DraftKings. This is an incredible bargain, in my opinion, because Jason Day is among the best in the field as it relates to driving and putting. Now, his greens in regulation, GIR, isn't stellar in comparison to those stats, but I'm okay with that. He's 47th among the field in driving accuracy. He ranks 18th in total driving, 9th in putting. And while we don't expect this to be a birdie fest, J-Day ranks 20th among the field in his birdie average. He's also been playing incredibly well, racking up points. He has saved me more than once this season on my fantasy team. I suggested him last week. Let's keep going. Sahith Theegala, 7.6K on DraftKings, another stellar value. Pre-tournament predictions. I can talk today, my friends, I promise. Pre-tournament predictions have him within the top 15 to make the cut. So there's a whole model of pre-tournament predictions. Who's going to make the cut? What percentile of a chance do they have to make the top 20, the top 10, the top 5 to win? As you can imagine, the percentage to win gets very tiny because it's very hard to predict who might win outright in this field. But I like looking at make the cut stats because those are pretty reliable. 7.6 on DraftKings. Like, these two players, I think are going to be amazing this week. And DFS managers agree with me. 11.5% of DFS managers are adding him to their rosters. Theegala is ranking 20th in strokes gained off the tee, 22nd in approach, 21st in putting, 19th in total driving. Ooh, is it getting hot in here? Because on paper, like, I want to marry this set of stats right now. Really good. Looks great. I'm really excited about it. For my third pick, Adam and I actually agree on this one. Hovland. Hovland, 9.8K on DraftKings. He's been trending hot lately. Now, you don't want to argue about his greens in regulation. Hovland's GIR is at nearly 70%, and he hits bombs off the tee. So we're looking at Adam Hovland very closely. His putting can be on or off, but I'm jumping in on Hovland because on paper, again, he looks phenomenal. His stats are in the top quarter of the field across all of these key categories, including putting. So I'm not super worried about it. He's like 30th or better. So let's run with it. Cantlay, 9.2K on DraftKings. He's got some good history in this event, but everybody is off of Cantlay, apparently, Adam says, because of the way he played last week. Adam says this could make or break him. So come on, Cantlay, don't let Adam down. It's a little pricey to be on the fence like that, but Adam likes it. Let's go. Harris English. This is a super value, 6.4K. Harris English shows up. I know that for sure. Adam's notes say that he has a decent history with this event, which we've mentioned that it hasn't been on this course since 2014, but in general, Harris English shows up for the US Open, and he enjoys playing in this tournament. He's got good driving accuracy. He's got a decent putter, and it could be the in-between, which is that approach shot that could get us here. But that's going to be likely even Adam's WTF pick this week. Could be Harris English. My WTF this week is Tom Hoge, 6.5K on DraftKings. And when we look at Tom Hoge's stats, I actually pulled them up here. He is looking really good on paper. I mean, sometimes that can bite us. But greens in regulation, he ranks 35th. That's excellent. Approach, he ranks 3rd. Putting, 64th. Not terrible, believe it or not. Total strokes gained, he's ranking 26th. His driving distance is not great. Like, he's not a great driver, but his greens and regulations, as I mentioned, ranking 35th among the field. I really like that. And should he get in trouble, he's an excellent scrambler. His putting average, he's 10th among the field. Scoring average, 9th among the field. Birdie average, 5th among the field. I mean, maybe I'm looking into the numbers too deeply, but I really like Tom Hoge at 6.5K as my WTF pick this week. And I've got a list of other guys for you to consider. We've got Fleetwood, DeChambeau, Schauffele, lovingly known as Shuffles, Scheffler, obviously, Oberg, or Ober, if you want to be super fancy, and Koepka. I know I threw in a couple of live guys. I couldn't help it. Both DeChambeau and Koepka show up for majors, so expect to see them in there. I also saw an interview by Rory this week, and he is really confident. And I like that. I like a little confidence. If you're looking at Rory, he's 12.1K, which if I had to choose, I would probably be picking Scottie Scheffler at 13K if I'm going to be spending up like that. Oh shoot, you know who I forgot to tell you about? Justin Thomas. He has been talked up quite a bit this week, 8.9K on DraftKings. He is on 11.6% of rosters right now. If we look at the pre-tournament predictions, he is definitely in there to make within the top 10, I believe, 11 to make the cut alone. And he's looking good even for top 20, which is wild to say. So I don't want to say that actually, but he's definitely going to make the cut. I really like it. I like what his scrambling ability really picked up this last week. I don't know if you watched much of the tournament last week, but I made a tweet saying, has Justin Thomas even hit a fairway in regulation? Because dang it, it did not feel like he was hitting a fairway off the tee at all. The poor guy was scrambling to save his life. He made the cut despite all of that mess, and I couldn't believe it. I honestly did not see Justin Thomas making the cut. I'm going to pull up some of his stats for us so that we can just take a quick look at Justin Thomas. He is not as inexpensive as I'd like, but it's not terrible. 8.9K, as I mentioned. And then as we look at his stats going into the tournament this week, we have a slow-moving computer. We have Justin Thomas is in strokes gained overall ranking 20th, 63rd off the tee, 5th in approach, 35th in total driving, 27th in driving distance. His accuracy, we know, is not good. He's ranking 84th in greens in regulation, which is still above board, believe it or not. Scrambling, he's got some decent scrambling ability, as we got to see that last weekend as well. 41st in scoring average, which can really make a big deal in your fantasy lineups, in your DFS lineups. And his birdie average is 13th. Where we're really falling apart here with Justin Thomas is in his driving accuracy and then in his overall strokes gained putting. So I mean, we're going to want to keep an eye on that. While the guy is good for a birdie, we need to get to the hole, to the green. So, yeah. But when we're looking at overall stats, I think Justin Thomas could be a good play here. And as I mentioned, not overly expensive. While we don't like you to play all of these together in one lineup, the pricing is so fair this week, I believe. We've got, as I mentioned, Thagala 7.6. We've got Jason Day 7.4. We've got Fleetwood 8.5, Justin Thomas 8.9. These guys, I think the most expensive then we've looked at Hovland, Aubert, Cantlay, they're all in the nines. DeChambeau, Koepka, Schauffele, those guys, actually Schauffele's 11.5, but Shambo and Koepka are both in the 10s. So you're going to have to pick and choose on the top end who you want to bring into your lineup. But there are so many great plays in the 8s, the 7s, and dare I say dipping into the 6s like we discussed with Russell Henley, for instance. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great tournament. I'm super excited to watch it, just as I was excited to watch last week's, which, by the way, man, we had some great picks. I hope some of you out there made money. I know that I did. Woo! I also won my FSGA tournament again last week, fighting for my life, hanging in there in second place with my ragtag crew. We pulled it off. The core in that league, my core happens to be Finau, Thigala, and Jason Day. And then we're holding it all together with waiver wire picks the rest of the time, but it's working. So you don't always need the top names to win, but you do need your players to score, bottom line. Anyway, you can find me. I'm Kelly Singh. You can find me at Kelly in Phoenix on the app formerly known as Twitter. And you can find Adam, even though he's not here this week. You could still reach out to him at Mr. Hallas. Thank you so much to Club Fantasy and Women of Fantasy Football for allowing us to talk about golf while we're waiting for football to come around. And I hope that you win. And I hope that you tune in again next week. See you then.